big purpose, big visions on your mind. You just wanna change the world in these crazy times. You got ideas so big, you're scared of the success they may bring. But in your heart, you know you're on to something amazing. Then there's days you feel like you're in over your head. But don't feed your fears, water your dreams instead. 'Cause you're not that far from where you wanna be. It just takes some time and patience when you're building something, you know I'm building something, you know I'm building something. Gotta keep striving, gotta keep pressing. I'm building something, you know I'm building something, you know I'm building something. I know some days seem easier than others, and I know sometimes feel harder than others. That's just the way it goes. There are hills and there are valleys. But believe in what God promised you. Believe your dreams are coming true. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't fear what you don't understand. 'Cause even your hardest day is the part of God's plan. When you're building something, you know I'm building something.
Hello. Welcome back to Facing Purpose Radio Show. I am your host, Lakia Barnett, and I am so excited to be back live with you on the air. I pray all is well with everyone. Go ahead and share with somebody and let them know that I am on tonight, and I have a very special guest, but we'll get into that in one quick second. Listen, I'm super excited, super pumped up. Y'all, I had the most fantastic bomb.com weekend. You guys, Tears of Purpose was just in the North Carolina, Stanford area. Shout out to my pastors, to my sisters in Christ, my brothers in Christ, everyone that helped get us there, helped, prayed us there. And it was a phenomenal monologue that went down in the North Carolina area. That was our first monologue out the gate for 2023, the delivery room. So you guys make sure that you go on my page, recap that, go look at some highlights from that. And if you're wondering what city are we going to next, we'll be letting you know as soon as we get the updates. You guys, it was a blessing. I keep saying that God threw his weight around down there because he really did. Okay, honestly. So we thank God for the monologue, and we thank God for the people that were involved in it. Shout out to the whole cast and everyone again that assisted in this thing. It was amazing, you guys, and that's what we're all about. Tears the Purpose is truly about the arts and bringing God's heart to the forefront. Amen. And so I'm always excited when it's time to hit the road or hit the stage and do what we do in God. And so listen, if you guys are wanting to be a part of it, it doesn't matter what state you are in. We are doing online events as well as live. We are looking for poets and actors and actresses, people who, even if you don't know how to act, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? We know how to get you together. And if you're willing to tell your story and you are a man or a woman who want to be a part of the upcoming monologues and be featured in the Delivery Room Monologue Chronicles, please make sure that you email at monologueyourstory@gmail.com, okay, and be a part of what God is doing in the creative arts. So tonight we are back live. I am excited. It's cold, y'all, down here in DC. I don't know what y'all kind of weather was like, but I'm telling y'all, I need to go back to North Carolina because it was a lot warmer than it is down here. So listen, we have a very special guest tonight, Mr. Laquan S. Johnson. He is an advocate, a motivational speaker, an author of 3 books, okay? Not 1, not 2, but 3. And he sounds like he's been up to a lot. So listen, why don't we just go ahead and bring him on? Mr. Laquan, are you on the air?
Yes, I am. How you doing, Lakia?
I am doing great. Welcome to Facing Purpose.
Happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So you are so welcome. Listen, I'm always interested in meeting new people and also networking. And I'm looking at your I was about to say your resume. Just looking at your bio, you
Yeah.
have a lot, and we are going to tap into every piece of aspect of this because I'm nosy and I know the people want to
Yeah.
know what's been going on. So if you don't mind, introduce yourself. I know I did cover a little bit, but you can introduce yourself in your way, and then we're gonna jump right in to getting all the tea in what you've been doing.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, just to describe me briefly, I'm an advocate for the underrepresented. I'm a public speaker of the disenfranchised, and as you said, I'm an author of 3 parabolic memoirs. So I wrote these memoirs to basically provoke thought in the mind of its reader. You know, these are motivational manuscripts. They're fictional stories, but they're based on true life accounts of people who have overcome adversity or who have succumbed to their own fear of failure. In a nutshell, they're parables. You know, things that make people say after they read it and put themselves in the character's situation. So that's what I am, and that's why I wrote the books, and that's what I do. I mean, I live, sleep, eat motivational speaking. I'm actually a counselor. I'm a high school counselor right now, and like I tell my students, I'm here to help you think about life after high school and imagine what that looks like, and help you create what that looks like. You know, you have a blank canvas right here, and I'm going to give you the utensil and the paint so you can paint your own portrait, so to speak.
Yes, I love it. I love it. It sounds like you have your hands full, but
Yeah,
you have it full in a good way. Okay. Like some
absolutely.
of us can have our hands full in bad ways, but you have
Yeah,
it
I've been there.
full for the right reasons.
I've been there.
Right?
I've been there in the
So,
bad circumstances too. Yeah.
yes. So tell us a little bit. Let's go back for a
Let's go back.
moment and
Sure.
let's talk about how you kind of discovered what your purpose was.
Um. Actually, that's an interesting story, an interesting question, because I'm visually impaired in both eyes. I'm legally blind. You know what I'm saying? I have a genetic eye disease by the name of Stargardt's. That's Stargardts. So it's a genetic eye disease that basically it eradicates, it decreases your central vision throughout the course of your life. You know what I'm saying? I got my peripheral vision, but my central vision is done. You understand? So I say that to say is, I mean, I take it as a blessing because I'm a firm believer in God and his will also. So I believe that I was bestowed this visual impairment so I can learn how to see through my mind's eye. You know what I'm saying? So that's the forefront of who Laquan Johnson is and the beginning of my story. So my purpose as a motivational speaker, I mean, it started actually as, becoming a counselor. You know, I wasn't the person that went to college right after high school. The kid, you know what I'm saying? When I was 18, I was in the streets. I was that prototypical urban black male that thought he knew it all, smoked, drank every day, messed with this, that, and the third woman every day. And I did that for a number of years until about maybe the age of 23 or 24 when I was incarcerated. Not for a long period of time, but I was incarcerated for a very short period of time. Let's say I was detained, and through that detainment, I knew that this is a place that I did not want to spend the rest of my life. This is a place I did not want to be. So I said, you know what? I picked myself up. I actually allowed God to pick me up, and I allowed him to bring me to where I am today. And I got back to school, and I earned 3 degrees actually in 8 years after that. And at the age of 32, I found myself as a graduate student. You know what I'm saying? So, and I said, well, what's my thing? What do I do? Because, undergraduate really doesn't teach you your thing. I think when you get to graduate school, that really teaches you what's really going on in your life, because you can really start doing the practical work. Undergraduate work is basically, it's about memorization. It's about getting to know thyself and getting to know people. I think when you get to graduate school, this really shows what the nick and crannies of your craft is. And that's when I stumbled across the program that actually it was a work study program in New York City, because that's where I was originally from. And it was funded by OASAS, the Office of Alcohol Substance Abuse Services. So OASAS basically said, we will pay for your schooling, we will give you salary, and you have to work 30 hours in a counseling center, because that's what I was going to school for, rehabilitation counseling. I didn't know if I really, wanted to be a counselor, but this was my thing at the time. So, I said, great, let's do it. So I applied to the program. I got in, about 30 of us got in. And they threw us in these clinics. They threw us in these drug rehab clinics. And I mean, you know, I was overwhelmed because I say if you can counsel and console a person that's addicted to drugs and alcohol, or who has a history of incarceration or homelessness, if you can do that work, you can do any work in the counseling field. That's just, and those 2 years, I mean, it built the necessary armor that I would need in this journey towards being a motivational a motivational speaker. So, you know, I was great at it. I interned, and after a year, they actually hired me full time because I was getting the trust and the honesty out of my clients, you know. So basically, you know, my job and my objective was I had to make marketable and success stories out of people that had 30 years of incarceration, out of people that had histories of homelessness, out of people that had 6 children, but they were heroin addicts. These stories right here, like, you know, you like unrecognizable. You had basically come in contact with people that you probably wouldn't talk to on a daily basis outside, and you know, allow them to share their story, allow them to understand, you know, I understand who you are, I know who you are, and I want you to recognize who you can be in life. So if you can let them understand those 3 things right there, and realize that you actually love them, you know, because you need them to be a productive citizen of society, they'll trust you. And they'll have the wind beneath their feet. So after I did that, I was like, okay, I'm kind of good at this counseling thing. And, you know, I became a very good motivational speaker because 3 times out of the week, I would have to speak to like 75 people, all incarcerated people, all homeless people, all drug addicted people. And I had to get their attention. I had to get their trust. And, you know, I spoke to them about, you know, what life could be like if they put their pride in their back pocket. Because at the end of the day, most of the times why we get in trouble or why we go down the negative pathway is because we have too much pride. You know what I'm saying? Once you put your pride in your back pocket, everything becomes easier. You start trusting people. You start trusting yourself. You start taking chances on yourself and others. And after that, you know, that's like 95% of the battle. So after I did that, you know, let's fast forward. I mean, I did that. I did it in 10 years. I went into higher education, and I was a counselor for students with disabilities. I was a career educator, actually. So that was another tough task. I had to get people that had disabilities. I mean, people that basically they were either wheelchair bound, or they were visually impaired like myself, or they were deaf, or they had learning disabilities. I had to actually help them get off SSI and get jobs so they could become productive citizens of society and taxpayers. So that's what I did, and I was very successful at it. And I did that for about 10 years. Then the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, everything changes. Like I said, so throughout this course of my counseling, I was drinking. I delved in drugs. You know, I probably was having, you know, little things on the side, you know, with other women. And I'm actually a married man right now. So in the year 2020, at this point in my life, this was a very big turning point in my life, because I wasn't satisfied with myself. You know, I said, you know what? You're successful. You have money. You have a home. You have a beautiful wife and beautiful children. They're healthy. But I wasn't happy with me. So something had to change. So when the pandemic hit, a lot of people I knew, they ran to the drugs and alcohol. And I totally abstained from drugs and alcohol. And I got sober in March. And so with sobriety comes boredom, because now you don't have anything to self-medicate. You don't have anything to run to. And I said, well, what is my thing? And I said, well, what do I do well? And I said, well, you know what? I've always been a good writer. And I started writing. And that's when I started. I wrote Motivational Motives. That's my baby right there. And it's 7 stories about people who've overcome adversity or who have succumbed to their own fear of failure. And I want the reader, when they read Motivational Motives, to put themselves in this character's situation. What would I have done if I was in this situation? And I have a question mark on the book, because that's what the book is about. Ask the questions in life. Who am I? Who do I want to be? Why am I married to this person? Why do I befriend this person? Why do I tend to get angry when I'm in this certain situations? This book answers all those questions. Well, it should answer all those questions for you if you're really a thought-provoking reader. So and after the day Motivation Motives was published, which was September 23rd, 2020, my wife of 18 years was cancer. So now God, he was asking me, what you gonna do now? Okay, this is the most traumatic thing, other than the loss of your children and your mother. This is the most traumatic thing that can happen in your life. This woman that you've been with for 18 years that you love so dearly, that's only 34 years old. She's been given 4 to 5 years to live. This is what the doctor looked us in our face and told us. And the first thing I thought about was drinking and drugging. But then I looked in her eyes, then I looked in my children's eyes, and I said, you know what? No, after I picked myself up out of this this feeling of despair, it took about 3 days, and I said, you know what? She's not gonna die in 4 or 5 years. I made my mind up that she wasn't gonna die in 4 to 5 years. So I went out here and found the best doctors that I can say that insurance can buy, and she's actually alive to this day. She's actually cancer free, and I say that story because that was a very big turning point for me specifically, because I could have stopped writing right there. I could have stopped believing right there. I could have stopped motivating right there. But, you know, I think God, he told me, you know what, you've come too far, because it was only 6 months of sobriety that I had, but I've come too far in those 6 months to give up. Because if I'd have gave up on me, I'm giving up on her. I'm giving up on my children. I'm giving up on humanity. So I didn't. And then I went on to write my other 2 books, Habitual Habitat and Urban Sermon. That book is about habits. It's about what works and what doesn't. You know, I get this analogy about habitual habitat and urban sermon. When you were about 7 years old, if your mother tells you, hey, you know what? I want you to bake cupcakes on Tuesday at 2 p.m. for the rest of your life, you're probably going to say to her, you know what, mommy? Okay, I will. Because mommy loves you. She's the one that feeds you. She's the one that houses you. And she, you know, she's in control at this point. All right. Now let's fast forward to when you're about 25. Now you're 25. Now you're your own woman. Now you're your own man, you know, and now you got things to do at Tuesday at 2 p.m. Right. So now you have a fundamental decision to make in your life about this habit that you've attained from mommy. You know what I'm saying? So to become that self-actualized person and to break from the habit, you know, you have to simply have this tone of voice with mommy. Hey, mommy, you know what? I love you. And thank you for teaching me how to bake these cupcakes on Tuesday at 2 p.m. However, I'm going to make brownies on Sunday at 7 p.m. now for the rest of my life. Now, mommy's probably not going to like it, but mommy's going to respect you because you're looking at her in her face and telling her that you love her, right? And you're telling her, thank you for teaching me how to bake, period. But now I can't bake them on Tuesday at 7 p.m. I'm going to bake brownies on Sunday at 7 p.m. You know what I'm saying? So habitual habitat is about breaking free of these habits that we don't even know where they come from. They could come from society, they can come from mommy, or they can come from my peers, or they could come from our own self-manipulation. So these stories are parables about people that have habits from society, their family, or their backgrounds, and they either make them great or they're dumbfounded after they understand that they have these habits. And basically you read about how they deal with these habits. And then we move on to generational ignorance. I mean, that's self-explanatory. That's basically one big parable about how we have these ignorances that's bestowed upon us from our heritage. It could either be from our family. It could be from our people as African Americans. It could be from our Hispanic people that we don't understand. Like this is just something that we should do as Black people, or this is something we should just do as men. And that's not necessarily the truth. An adult, you have a fundamental decision maker if you want to break free from these ignorances and become your self-actualized self. So this journey as a motivational speaker has been stages. You know, it started with me and my own impairment and accepting my own impairment. Then it went on to education, and after education, it went on to actually doing the work. Then it went on to instilling hope into people, and then it went on to picking myself up again and get myself out of the throes of drug addiction, out of the throes of alcoholism, and understanding what my true purpose is, and this motivational speaking and writing for our people.
You know, it's so key, and I thank you for even taking us through the timeline of how you launched into knowing that this was your purpose. A lot of people don't know what that is. I think that is important that people understand their identity, because it's very easy to become somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy to just say, I'm going to do this and do that. But if you're really not walking in your purpose, you know, that can be very dissatisfying. It can be very dangerous as well when you don't know who you are. Right. Oh, and so when I'm hearing you talk about, you know, your own things that you have going on, like, you know, being blind and things like that, did that ever do anything to your self-esteem? Did it ever feel like people were limiting you in this process?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's crazy because, I mean, I'm gonna keep on bringing God up in my story because I mean he's the founder, and because when I found out I was visually impaired when I was about 17. However, my eyes weren't that terrible. I still was able to play ball and things of that nature. So at this point, I was in that quote unquote cool phase where I wanted to fit in. And most people don't wear glasses. Most people, you know. So I stopped wearing my glasses and I'm walking around, you know, trying to see, can't really see, but because I'm thinking people that don't wear glasses are cool. So funny story, you know, I tried to get I moved to the state of Virginia and I got my driver's license. Crazy story how I got that, because I walked into DMV to actually get my permit. I passed the permit test, and then you know when you have to look through that little thing to see so you can see it's an eye test. I couldn't see nothing. So I told the lady, yo, I can't see nothing. So she looked at me like I was crazy, because when you see me, I don't look visually impaired, whatever that means. And she checked off driver's test passed. So she actually gave me my driver's license. It's crazy story. And I'm gonna tell you why this is so much of a crazy story. So fast forward, like maybe a year later, I come in contact with a cousin of mine, and we started getting into a lot of trouble in the state of Virginia. And we actually were dating two sisters. The sister that I was dating actually become my son's mother a few years after that. But we started getting into a lot of trouble. So one particular situation we got into a car accident where we fell off a cliff. Understand? Because we were drinking and driving. He was driving. He had no license, and I was in the passenger seat, and I had this driver's license on me. But in the interim, 4 months before that, my driver's license actually got revoked because the state of Virginia found out that I was visually impaired because I was registered with a place called the Commission for the Blind and Visually Handicapped. So the state of Virginia found out that I was visually impaired and automatically revoked, rightfully so. But I still had the license on me for ID purposes. So we get into the accident. Long story short, the police came, of course. So when the police came, you know, he got scared and he told them I was driving because he didn't have a license. So I get in a car with he looked like Barney Miller. I don't know if you remember that show. not Barney Miller, Archie Bunker. That's who he looked like. He looked like Archie Bunker from All in the Family. We get in the car and he started running my license. Now, I had a ton of weed on me too. I had a lot of marijuana on me. And I had this revoked license. So I'm saying to myself, I'm about to get arrested. And if I get arrested, this changes the whole trajectory of my whole life if I get arrested. Lo and behold, this license didn't come up revoked. And I don't know why it didn't. And he let me step out of the car and he sent me on my way. My cousin actually got arrested because he was talking crazy. And from that day on, this is when my belief in God became very strong and very paramount in my life. I was like, that was God's will, because if this license becomes revoked, I get arrested, and who knows what happens after that. So to answer your story, have people know, I think I limited myself by trying to fit in as a young guy from the age of 17 to about 24. I tried to fit in with the masses. Hey, I don't want to wear my glasses. I look cooler without them. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let me go try to get this driver license. I'm not supposed to be driving, but let me try to get it. Hey, you know what? Act like you can read this sign, or, you know, like it's just trying to be somebody you're not. And at 24 to 25, when I got to be 25, I said, you know what? This is not working for me, man. You know, I got to be who I am. And when I started being myself, you know, I started loving myself more. People started showing me the love and affection, and attention that I actually needed. I actually started getting the love and affection and attention from the people that was worth getting the love, affection, and attention from. You understand? Not the other people. Those people don't give a damn about me, excuse my language. But these people over here, when I started being me, they started loving me for who I was. So I would say I limited myself in my early years, you know. But like, I'm a firm believer that bad things happen for great reasons. Every bad thing puts you on a path to your greatness if you put it in its proper perspective, in my professional opinion. So yeah, I limited myself, Lakia, a whole lot, you know.
Absolutely. I understand that. I think we all have had some sort of insecurity, some sort of something where we self-doubted, you know. But then for me, I know that God was the one who helped me gain, you know, the confidence that I needed to do the work that he was calling me to do. Because sometimes, you know, society will stop you and make you feel like we're not qualified to do something when God has really called you to do it, not people.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that your story is a real testament of that. Yeah. And I think that your story, just in general, we can learn a lot from you. You know, because we have, you know, some people, we have our sight and some people still won't do nothing.
They still can't see.
You moving around like, you know, like you, like it ain't nothing wrong. Like that's a whole miracle in itself, you know.
That's a miracle in itself. I'm telling you, man, gotta got hit by a car many times. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, when your ego leads, that's the worst thing that happen. Because when your ego leads, Lakia, you can't see nothing. You can't hear nothing. You can't even think effectively when ego leads. And I tell her to people, calm your ego down. You have to. It's your duty to put your ego in check. Because I mean, we're all egotistical when it comes down to it. We're born this way. But when you get to be a bona fide adult and you know what's right and wrong, and you know what's good and what's evil, and you know what the have and the have-nots are, it's your duty to say, hey, ego, calm down. Yes, I have a lot of money, but money's not everything. Calm down. Yeah, you might be attractive, but you know what? Beauty isn't everything. Yes, I got a big house, but this could burn down today. You know what I'm saying? Calm your ego down and put things in perspective, and you'll prosper, honestly.
Absolutely. So I'm going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back and we're going to talk some more with Mr. Laquan Johnson. You guys continue to share and let somebody know that we are on. This is the Facing Purpose radio show, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Purpose, big visions on your mind. You just wanna change the world in these crazy times. You got ideas so big, you're scared of the success they may bring. But in your heart, you know you're on to something amazing. Then there's days you feel like you're in over your head. But don't feed your fears, water your dreams. Just take some time and patience when you're building something, you know I'm building something, you know I'm building something. Gotta keep striving, gotta keep pressing. I'm building something, you know I'm building something, you know I'm building something. I know some days seem easier than other than I know. Sometimes feel harder than others. That's just the way it goes. There are hills and there are valleys. But believe in what God promised you. Believe your dreams are coming true. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't fear what you don't understand. 'Cause even your hardest day is a part of God's plan. When you're building something, you know I'm building something, taking it step by step. Hey, I'm taking it day by day. You know I'm building something. I'm building, building something. Building something. For I know the better things to saith the Lord. Thoughts of peace, not evil, to give and expect Keep planning, keep writing, keep learning, keep living, keep praying, keep
And we are back with our wonderful guest, Mr. Laquan Johnson. Listen, I'm having an amazing time just listening to his story, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, testimony is everything.
Absolutely.
A testimony is everything. And I love this song that's playing, Building Something, because I feel like everyone has something in their hands that God has given them to build. You just got to do it. Amen. So listen, that probably will be my theme song for the rest of this year. Don't nobody judge me. That's just the song right now. Okay. So anyways, let's go on. So I noticed that you also are a co-host in the popular podcast, Motivational Motives.
Yep.
What is that all about? Talk to us about that.
Well, that's another endeavor I got into during the pandemic, because like I said, I mean, you know, I had to make great use of my time, because now that I'm sober, I got a lot of free time on my hands, and now my brain is jumping from point A to point Z. You know what I'm saying? So I actually, the person that published my first book, Motivation Motives, was a woman that I met on Upwork. And a Black woman, she was from California, and we actually became friends through this process of me publishing the book. So one day I just asked her, after like maybe 3 or 4 months of us communicating on the phone and FaceTime, I said, "Yo, you know, do you want to co-host this podcast with me? You know, because it's about, you know, empowering Black people, about us and our communities, and, you know, and helping us overcome adversity in life." And she was like, "Bet." So we started the Motivation Motives, the podcast, and it's basically about we bring people on that we have discussions with your regular Joe and your regular Jane about how they've overcome adversity en route to prosperity. So, you know, we've communicated with people that were molested as children, and they've now they're great social workers and school teachers and entrepreneurs. We come in contact with black people who during the pandemic, they started homeschooling their kids because they didn't agree with the public school system's tutelage. We come in contact with your average Joe and Jane about how, you know, they took despair and they turned it into great success and a very good outcome. Because I tell people, you have to wear your shortcomings on your sleeve. You know what I'm saying? You know, you have to wear like a badge of armor. You know, it's actually, it is your armor. You know, I tell my students every day, let's say it's pouring outside, right? It's pouring outside and you have somewhere very important to go. You got 3 options in life. You can say, 1, I'm not going. It's raining too hard. And say, I'm not going. That's quitting. Okay. The second person can say, I'm getting to where I'm going and I'm going to go outside and get drenched. You know, that's going forward with it without a plan. Or you can get your umbrella. That's your armor. You know, you're still going to get a little bit wet, and you're not stopping it from raining, but you're getting to where you got to go, safe and sound. So, you know, we have to utilize our shortcomings and make others understand this is my strength. Me being visually impaired, had I not be visually impaired, Lakia, I would not be speaking to you today as a public speaker and an author of 3 books. Honestly, you know, I don't know what type of knucklehead I would have been. It humbled me enough to understand, hey, I can have this deficiency, I can have this impairment, because we all got them. It's just, you know, I think those that recognize their deficiencies and their impairments, they're the strongest people on the planet, because they you know, it makes them humble enough, and then it helps them tap into their greatest strengths, you know, seeing through the mind's eye. So, you know, the podcast is about that in a nutshell, helping people voice their opinion and voice their story about how they've overcome great travesty and they've become these powerful people on the planet. So that's what the podcast is basically about. It's on YouTube. We did 2 seasons of Motivation Motives, the podcast, you know.
Okay. All right. Well, it definitely sounds like something worth checking out for real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
So give us 3 tips on finding what you are called to do. What are the 3 tips of advice that you can give to the listeners on tonight, especially if one is struggling in that area? What would you advise?
Okay. First and foremost, and I'm gonna give a little spiel that I talk to my students about, but this can apply to anybody if you put it in perspective. First, let's say after high school, or after let's say a bad breakup, or let's say after you just left a job and you're trying to find your career, you fundamentally got 4 options. But let's look at this as the high school student, for the 18-year-old that just graduated high school. You know, after high school, you have 4 options, Lakia. You have 4. 1, you can enlist in the military. 2, you can go into a 2-year, 4-year, or vocational training program and say, I want to go to college. 3, you can say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get me a job. I don't recommend that for 18-year-olds. Educate yourself and you can create your own job, but that's neither here nor there. 4, and probably the easiest thing you can do in life, you can do nothing. Absolutely nothing. But you know what doing nothing ensures? Nothing ensures that you have little to nothing in your bank account. Doing nothing ensures that you have little to no food to eat. Doing nothing ensures that you have little to no friends and family that even want to deal with you, because people don't like to deal with people that don't got nothing, you know? And it actually proves and validates that you have little to no respect for yourself. You have little to no respect for the predecessors and the people that actually clothe you and house you and feed you, or that love you. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say, essentially, you know, you have to get a role model. You have to get somebody. Number 1, you have to get someone that looks up to you. Now, when I say role model, Lakia, people automatically assume role model is a good thing. No, you have to get 2 role models. 1 that's doing great things and 1 that's doing terrible things. It got to be 1. It could be that uncle that has 4 houses and 3 cars and he's a great entrepreneur, but it also got to be that aunt that's probably an alcoholic, that's probably a drug addict. Both of them are teaching you something. Both of them are serving as role models. This one is teaching you what you should do. This one is teaching what you shouldn't do. See, what we do, we say, hey, I'm going to just look up to the people that got it. No, you got to look to the people that don't got it too, because you got to pay attention to what they're doing wrong. Because when you start following their path and you start gaining their respect, you're on the wrong path. So first is get a role model. Okay, so after you get your role model, sometimes in life, you have to jump in the water when you can't swim. Okay, I can't swim, Lakia. However, I got a 10-year-old and I got a 5-year-old. If we are at the pool one day, and they could swim actually. If we're at the pool one day, let's say they couldn't swim and they started to drown, I wouldn't think twice. I would jump in that pool, even though I can't swim. You want to know why? Because I'm saving my life, let alone theirs. So you got to look at life and you have to take these risks sometimes and say, you know what? I know I can't swim, but I'm jumping in this pool. I know I'm scared to death to speak to these hundreds of people, but I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not a good reader, but I'm actually going to pick up a book and try to read a page or 2 a night. So you have to take these educated risks. And at the end of the day, the third thing, you got to have faith. You have to have faith in your fate. You know what I'm saying? Faith is basically knowing that your destiny is on the other side of this door, but you can't see it at all. You can't see it at all, but you know it's over there. You know what I'm saying? Now, faith is opening that door and walking through it. Now, you have faith in the system, in the process. Now, going through the door and walking in this room, that's your fate in finding it. Now you have to search for what your fate is. But the first step in the whole situation is walking through the door and knowing that your fate is on the other side of the door. So having faith in your fate, knowing that your fate lies on that other side of the door. So first is having a role model. 2 role models. Secondly is taking educational risk. Like, hey, sometimes I got to do this even though I'm scared. And 3, having faith in your fate. That's the third thing I would say. I guarantee you will find your purpose. And your purpose might not be something that you're even thinking about, you know? Because I had no idea I would be speaking to you about being a motivational speaker on author. If you'd have told me this 10 years ago, I said, get out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? I haven't written or read in years. Get out of here, man. I'm not going, be out here, instilling hope in the people. I got my own problems. But lo and behold, God pulled me to this forefront, and here I am. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have faith in your fate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100% on that. I love when you guys give y'all tips, but to other people that may be listening, because we have some people who may feel like they can't be a motivational speaker or they can't go be an author. And so I think words of encouragement is also so very good. So what are, when people come across you, what are they going to see that's going to be happening next? I know we're only in the 3rd year well, the third month of the year, I'm sorry. We're actually getting ready to be going into the fourth month of the year very soon. This year seems to be moving very swiftly and very
Absolutely.
quickly. So I always say, make your time count because time is moving fast. So what can we be expecting from you coming up in the next couple of months to a year?
Well, I'm publishing my next book as we speak right now. It's called The Presence of Patriarchy. It's about the the absence of father and the how destructive it can be. Or on the other hand, sometimes the absence of father is actually what the child needs. And people say, when I say that to people, they're like, "What you mean? How can the absence of a father be what the child needs?" If the father is not ready to be a father, and the father only has negativity, and the father only knows destructive behavior, that's all he will instill into the child. So sometimes his actually propels the child and gives them room for greatness. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how absence is a destructive thing, and we're talking about how the absence can act. And I'm doing a number of speaking events. I mean, I do speaking events in colleges. I do them virtually. I do them in person. I do speaking events in churches. I do speaking events in community-based organizations. And like I said, if the viewers want me to come speak at their, whatever their institution is, they can just call me at 914-984-3629. And, negotiate and talk, and I'll be there. So that's what I'll be doing for the rest of the year, publishing and speaking.
I know that's right. Well, that's what you do well, and we are looking forward to it. So make sure that you post and let us know when you will be the next time you will be speaking or doing anything in your field. I just want everybody to know that you definitely can support Mr. Laquan. Do you have a Facebook page? Did you give your Facebook page or Instagram page out?
Well, you know what? If you want to support Laquan Johnson, you could purchase my books either in paperback on Amazon. Just type in my name, Laquan Johnson, Laquon Johnson, or all of them are in Audible too. If you're not a paperback reader, they're in Audible, or you can get it on Kindle. Just type in Laquan Johnson, Laquon Johnson. You can support me that way. You know what I'm saying? Or give me a call. Like I said, maybe I could speak at a situation that you're a part of, and pass on my words of wisdom.
All right. So you guys have heard it first. This has been a very, very engaging interview, very informative interview with Mr. Laquan Johnson. Again, he's a motivational speaker. He's a man that wears many, many hats and has an awesome testimony. So we wish you nothing but the best and blessings towards every endeavor that you put your hands to going forward, Mr. Johnson. And thank you so much for coming on the Facing Purpose radio show. Is there any last words that you want to leave with the listeners tonight?
I mean, I just let them, like I said earlier, bad things happen for great reasons. So if you are in a messed up situation, please be assured that you're in a situation that puts you on your path to your greatness. You just have to put your life in proper perspective. Get a role model, take an educated risk, and have faith in your fate, honestly.
All right. Y'all heard what he said? And he meant what he said.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Mr. Laquan, for joining us this evening. And you guys can tune back in on next Saturday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, if you want to be a guest on the show, you can easily inbox me on Facebook, or you can email me at sb2dance@gmail.com and let me know that you want to be featured on the show. Listen, we are looking for more stories and more testimonies. Listen, if you want to learn how to monologue, you guys, it is the dopest thing ever. It's like the shortest version of doing a play, almost. And we are getting ready to bring back out our play. Warning, sound the alarm. Cast is going forth in rehearsals and all of that. So you guys stay tuned for more and more things that we are doing in my ministry and in media. Hello. And if you guys settle and want to look at more and more pertaining to media in this range, you guys need to also tune in on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. on the Tears to Purpose Real Talk show. We had some amazing guests over there as well. So you guys listen, that is my time for the night. I guess I have been full and very, very interested in the story that was told on tonight, the testimony in itself. of just showing God being a miracle worker. Okay. I keep telling people, the more you tell your testimony, the more you are pumping God up in what he is bomb at doing, which is giving us testimony in our mouth so that we can keep sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing until people's lives have been saved and people have been touched and people have been turned back to him. And he is the epitome of a miracle from God, Mr. Laquan Johnson. So you guys make sure you guys go and support him. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And we will see you guys next week. Good night.
Right. Thank you.